Founded in 1999 by Jason Burks, Retrospec Films is Oklahoma's largest turnkey production company of its kind. With over 2 decades of experience, a full-time team of over 20 talented individuals, a 12,000 square foot studio to create in, and thousands of successfully completed projects in both entertainment and advertising. You're in the right place if you like hearing some good old filmmaking stories. On this podcast, we will discuss the pursuit of creating things and the problems we solve by digging up projects from across the last 20 years and giving you a glimpse behind the scenes where the magic happens. You're listening to Retrospec Films from the Archives.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on Retrospec from the Archives. I'm Jason Burks. We are here at Retrospec Studios, and I am joined by Jacob Hightower, director, cinematographer, actor, talent of many strange things.
I've got good hair too.
Decent hair. Adam V. Hill, cinematographer, editor, writer, director, and what other things you got?
I have less good hair.
I would disagree.
Less good hair. And we got Brandon Forbes over there on the mixer, producer here at Retrospec.
Hello.
Brandon has a lot of talents, amongst one being having children.
So talented at that.
How many
I'm so
children?
good at that. Just one.
Super good.
Only one.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, today we are excited on our new podcast to cover or uncover or dig into the archives of things that we've done here at Retrospec for the last 20 years. We are talking about the pursuit of creating things and the extent to which we go at to create things that are great, and also the problems that we solve. Everything that we get hired to do is typically solving some super complex problem. And if you want to make it good or great, or even more than that, it's just more problems that you have to solve. So it always keeps filmmaking fun, but it always keeps us on our toes as well. Today, we're going to talk about a specific project that probably introduces maybe just as many unusual problems to solve as any project that we've ever done here at this company. And is a project that we did for Summit Financial with Dan Martell a few years back. And this project was unique in that the script that was written was paralleling a person's financial success and growth through time and overcoming obstacles and taking risk with rock climbing. Now, I think that, I've known Dan a long time, and I think Dan knowing me, he knew Jason loves to rock climb. I also own a climbing gym, so there's lots of reasons to believe that it's easy to excite me when it comes to filming something in the space of rock climbing. So Dan and I talked. We talked through this concept, and he's like, we just need something iconic. We need like some kind of a landmark location that just feels epic when this person climbs to the top of this thing. And, we talked a little bit about mountains, but the downfall with mountains is they're just so big. And when you zoom out from them, they don't fit in the frame that well. Like you got to zoom like 2 miles out to really get like the sense of something big that was hard to climb. And so I thought, well, what if he rock climbed? And he's like, okay, we could do that. Rock climbing would be good, some vertical rock climbing. And I scanned my brain for something iconic on the horizon, and I couldn't think of anything greater than the Castleton Tower, which is in Moab. And this feature is very iconic, very unique. It is a tower. It is very thin. It's about 40 to 50 foot wide, and it's 400 foot tall. And it sits atop 1,000 foot of scree on this mound of rock that is eroded and broken off as this thing continues to narrow and narrow. And it's essentially the core of an old plateau. That's what you're looking at, an old mesa. And so through probably not enough conversations, we decided, let's do this thing. Let's go film on the Castleton Tower. So that's where our story begins. And then I just started recruiting people that work here.
Yeah, I think it was a no-brainer that I'm coming on this trip because I was like, you're not going climbing without me. You're not taking cameras up a mountain without me. I love that kind of stuff. So I was definitely like, I'm in. Please, let's go. So
Forbes, you have mixed emotions.
I was only there because we did the ninja thing before that, and so I was like in the car, so I just ended up there. I don't feel like enough people wear them, honestly, and it's good. Just like overall, like neck support. Like I really like I'm fine. By chance, really.
But you love climbing. You've been on some trips with me.
Yeah. Jason, I'm climbing. That's not climbing. Jason, are you proud? Dad? Ow! There's been a couple times where there was some close calls that I would consider close calls. And, my need for adrenaline is not as great as some sitting at the table before me. So, but you know what? The main reason I was there, other than I had to be, was I was flying the drone because there was a very specific shot that you wanted with the drone. And so I was like, well, at the time I was really the only one that was flying. And so I was like, perfect. I will do whatever. I'm not climbing anything, but I will fly the drone in the air. You got it.
Adam, you were continuing the behind the scenes aspect. I mean, why don't you tell me your perspectives?
Yeah. So again, I was there primarily to shoot behind the scenes. So this one was particularly interesting from like a logistics standpoint because there's so many different things coordinating different groups of people around the tower and getting up the tower. It was just really intriguing project to even participate in from a behind the scenes standpoint, going up to all these different people that have different roles. We had, I think, another group of 4 guys with us who were the climbers, specifically there to support the main climber, who was kind of the climber actor. Even though he wasn't acting, he was really climbing. And then we had another group, like Brandon said, flying the drone in the valley. Jason and Hightower were actually shooting it on the tower, which means they had to climb. We split up. They did the main part of the shooting, which we'll go into detail about. But I was just there kind of just rolling on everything, shooting anything and everything to try and make it all make sense and to just kind of tell the story of the day, continuing from, like we talked about in the last episode, that previous trip from Las Vegas to Moab, Utah. So through there, we had to drive through Zion, which was pretty cool.
Yep. I remember driving through Zion. I didn't really get to take in the scope of the scenery because I was trying to make sure we didn't fly off a cliff because he had me driving while this guy's hanging out of the top of the vehicle shooting like crazy. You're shooting the BTS of that happening, and I'm just driving like I want to look, and then I'll be like, oh gosh, don't fall off this cliff. So yeah, that was really cool going through there though. I mean, even just a little bit of stuff that I actually got to like slow down and look off to. Zion is just an amazing breath of fresh air. I mean, it's a special place. So going through there was awesome, and it kind of like set us up for what kind of environment we're going into and what we're, the beauty of the structures that we're going to be filming. And that just really got me excited, seeing some of that stuff. Like, we don't even have to dress the background up. It's already there. And once if you just get the talent in that space, it just all works out, and I was excited about that. So,
yeah. I was just going to kind of dig into the what we were trying to actually create here and some of the complexities of it. So the storyline was sequential, and the objective was to get this sense of these guys walking towards something complex to climb and getting their gear out and putting their shoes on and getting their ropes out and climbing up this very difficult, risky feature, but getting to the top. And when you get to the top, it paying off. And for me as a rock climber, like, I fully understand that emotion. It's why I rock climb. We were trying to figure out how we execute this though. And it was tricky because the problem is, like, that line, for example, it's one of the top 50 American classic climbs. It is something that every rock climber that is anybody has done. And two of the top classics, the top 50 classics, are on it. There's one on the chimney side, and then the other one is called the Core Ingalls route. And we knew that with cameras and bags and drones and trying to move expediently, that this was going to be quite a feat. So how would we do it? So we decided to go the day ahead. We climbed the whole thing, and we strung a static line off the tower. Now, this tower is unique in that I'm probably going to get it wrong, but there was a truck commercial. I can't remember if it was Chevy or Jeep or who actually put a vehicle on top of this tower. With a helicopter, with a military helicopter.
Whoa.
Castleton Tower, it's not unusual for filming to occur on it, even though it's not every day. So we chose to run static lines across 400 feet. As we were setting those lines, we realized that technically climbing the rock was faster. But then, believe it or not, while setting the ropes, we found that one of the brand new static line ropes that we had just ordered from a brand that I won't mention had a cut in it. It had a core shot. So ropes have a core and then a sheath. The sheath is like a jacket around the rope. The sheath was fine, but the rope was split inside of it. Really thankful that Hightower was down below with Matt, who was our talent. They found it.
Yeah. That moment was kind of a moment. I mean, I didn't realize the scope of, Matt is a rock climber. He knows rope, he knows the gear, he knows the lingo, and it's just, he was just going through the rope, just kind of like flaking it over here, and then he found a spot that was soft, and he bent it over, and he was like, that should not be doing that, Hightower. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He said, that means if anybody's weighted on this rope, it will break and they will fall. And I was like, that's a big deal. We should probably let's tell Jason about that in a calm way, to where we're not like yelling, hey, somebody's gonna die.
Right.
So we relayed that back to him, and I just remember Matt being very, very, very nervous about it.
He was very concerned about it.
Very concerned.
Which it is concerning.
Yeah, that's great, that he was. And, I'd hate to say what could have happened if we wouldn't have caught that.
Yeah. I mean, we were redundant, so it would have been a second, but you definitely don't want to have a rope in any of your systems. You never know when you're going to rely on it. So,
right.
So we got past that, and we basically planned out what we were going to film the following day. And the next morning was the day that we would go in. Now, another thing interesting, too, is the client came, which is unusual usually for like the person. I mean, sometimes clients come on shoots, but not always when they're out in the middle of the Moab desert.
Yeah.
And she was awesome. Her name was Casey. And she wanted to go up there. She didn't want to face climb, but she wanted to get to the base of it, which that is even a feat at Moab at Castleton Tower. Why don't Brandon, why don't you chat a little bit about that? Because I feel like you also didn't necessarily love that hike.
Well, I mean, Adam and I were the drone. I was flying, and then he was going to operate the camera when we were flying. And so we were carrying up the drone and some stuff, behind you guys. And we're not, you guys do this more often. So we were a little bit behind, mainly me. And so Adam was nice enough to just stay behind and make me not feel bad.
I mean, I was behind. I was breathing so heavily, but I was just blaming you the whole time.
That's fair. I was like, I don't really want to be here right now.
How's it going, Brandon?
Almost there, I think. I don't know. I heard we're almost there like 40 minutes ago, so I really don't believe anything anymore. They're already up there, I think. So we're going up, and it gets to this point where I don't know, for you guys, it's probably like, this is totally fine, but it's like at a pretty steep angle, and like the rock it's just loose gravel, and anywhere you put your foot, like it kind of starts to slide. And Adam, I think took a picture of me at one point, because I was just like sitting there just like pissed and like contemplating life, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like I could fly the drone from down there, like. And so eventually I was like, you know what? Like, I don't think I'm going to go up on the second day. I'm just not going to. Like, I don't feel safe. I don't want to. I have a child. I didn't have a child. I had a dog, but it was my child. And I was like, I have a wife and a kid. I can't. I'm not going. And so I was like, I'll fly it from the bottom. It'll be fine. And so then the second day, with two of the clients, Adam and I just went and kind of posted up. We walked probably maybe 30 minutes with you guys, and then once it actually started to get steep, we just kind of went off into this little like plateau area at the bottom, and then sat with a radio for, I mean, you guys ended up getting behind, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you'll be able to speak to that, but I mean, it was a very long time for you guys to even get to the point where you were starting to film.
Yeah.
Yeah, like say we had two of the clients that actually went up with us to pitch one.
Yeah.
It was Jordan and Casey.
Okay.
And
That's
you were
right.
kind of Casey's caretaker, and I was kind of Jordan's caretaker because, you know, obviously we did not want client to get hurt.
Sure.
That's like a big thing. We wanted to make
Yep.
sure they were safe, and I personally remember running all over that place. Like
Oh, yeah.
I was legit
Making laps.
down, back, around.
It was a
back.
legitimate, maybe minimum hour and a half round trip if Hightower needed to run from the base of the tower back to the car or to the truck or the gear, if not longer, but just from going all these switchbacks down the slope of it and then back another, I don't know how many miles it would be a hike from.
I think it's 2 or 3.
2 or 3
Yeah.
miles. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
And
was,
then at all this, it's not just a straight line mile,
No.
it's all of this elevation and switchbacks and
yeah, and we all had probably over 40 pounds of weight on us. I mean, I remember I
Yeah.
had an O'Connor head, a tripod, a red slider.
track.
I mean, yeah, like we went up with
Stupid
what
amount
you
of
would
equipment.
shoot with in a studio.
Yeah, and I kept thinking it's funny because I think as much as, you know, nowadays I think we have much more efficient lidar systems and ways to get images remotely, but at that time it just there wasn't.
Right.
And I wanted to capture beautiful images, so it was like, yes, we're gonna drag the red camera up there and every other random thing that we own. So we start the climb out, and we did get behind. We all finally got to the base. We started shooting some of the shots there at the base. We did some stuff that was kind of like faux. We were really on the base, but I had Matt kind of climb up, and it put me in a good position to film it. And then we started going, and it's kind of, you know, climbing and filming is its own, definitely its own discipline. It's very challenging. You have to have specific tools that work in those environments. You have to have specific safety climbing gear. We had brought 2 different people with us that were dedicated to making sure that all the ropes were set safe, that we were safe, so that we could focus on the filming part. And we got a lot of good shots on the way up. It was definitely a relay because we realized we started to fight time, and we started fighting the sun. And I, you know, keep trying to get in a position to get the right angles. We're radioing the drone in. Forbes has got the drone. He's, you know, probably a half mile away, but flying the drone over to us. So trying to get the right aerial shots with the large drone of Matt climbing up this tower, knowing that some of us had to kind of hunker down to get out of the shots. So that was another kind of tricky little thing that we had to deal with. But then we realized, you know, one of the money shots, one of the big shots that we were really trying to achieve was Matt on top of the Castleton Tower with a drone shot that pulls out off of him. And I had a drone in my bag. I don't remember, Hightower, you didn't top out.
No, I only made it to the top of pitch 2. Not, I think what I came up with was I saw how X'd out everybody was after climbing that.
Yep.
And I knew how much gear I had to get down and
Back.
around. So I kind of had to sacrifice
Yeah.
my own energy to not make it to the top.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the Castleton Tower, I won't top out. I will top that. I will top that out someday. But
Yeah.
it was just one of those things to where I really had to like dial in and go, you know, I want to climb this with all the guys. I want to achieve that, but I
Right.
have to think about my energy and getting all
Safety
that
and
safety
gear
and you know, you guys needed a solid guy down at the bottom if anything went wrong. So I just, you know, I didn't make it all the way to the top, but I felt like I did just being a part of the team. You know?
Well, you know, in those situations, those are definitely things that get evaluated because, you know, we really were getting pretty maxed out. I mean, climbing that thing 2 days in a row with cameras, with tons of gear. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
So we get up to that top, and the sun is going down.
Yeah.
And
it's windy.
super windy.
We
Really
couldn't take
windy.
the height. We couldn't take our drone up that high, and so it was on you with the Mavic, which is a smaller drone that gets thrown around even more.
Yep.
And it was like I don't know what to do.
I just remember seeing the sun going down and being in the top 60 feet, no, like 50 feet, which does ease up at the top of the Core Ingalls route, and just being like, oh crap, we've got to hustle. So I pop out the backpack, I pop out the drone, I get Matt in position, I give him direction. You know, Caleb and Clayton are up there with me. I have them like kind of scatter and hide so they're not in the shot. Hunker down. It's super windy. And I can't even get I'm struggling to like get the drone in a position that I even feel safe taking it off. I get it. I take it off. It immediately takes wind and just gets swept off the top of the Castleton Tower and just shoots out over the edge, which is a bothersome thing when you're flying drones because you just like, it's there's
gone.
There's 10 feet under it. No, there's 500 feet under it.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting over that. I'm getting over it. Okay, it's fine. I got control. I just got to fight the wind. We staged a shot, and I keep trying to get it from different angles, and it's this pull in, pull out, pull in, pull out. I keep going for it. And then, believe it or not, somehow I'm like, I think I got the shot. I think I got it. And it's this epic, it's just literally like you can't even imagine. You're in what's called the Castleton Valley, and it's one of the most iconic, beautiful places on planet Earth. You are like, there's no artificial lights, there's no houses. It's just you and the absolute wilderness and mountains covered in snow way off in the distance and plateaus and mesas and towers and arches in every direction. It's just absolutely insane. And believe it or not, it's not even in a national park. It's in the public land space of Utah, which is insane. But I get the shot. It's psychotically windy. It's so windy that I can't land the drone. I cannot land the drone. And it's so bad to the point that I'm like, I can't get the drone to get above the tower and even stay within like 10 feet of itself. Like, it's that bad. And I'm fighting it, and I'm like turning the thing sideways, like, just trying to fight the wind, but you can't land like that. Try to land, it gets blown off. Take it off again. Try to land, it gets blown. Take it off. I think I tried to land it, 10 times. I'm sitting there thinking the batteries are going to die while it's like over the edge of the Castleton Tower. I'm going to lose the footage, the very shot that I came here for. This was the shot that we came here for. Like, the rest of the shots, we could have figured out a way to get. We didn't have to climb a tower. But this shot, we had to climb a tower. And then somehow, and honestly, I don't think I was able to snag it because I was still too scared of grabbing the drone out of midair at that point. I didn't realize if you grab it and flip it, the blade shut off. I learned that.
Wow.
That would have been good to know.
Nice.
But I thought you grab it and you just end up cutting yourself up. I finally got it landed.
Yeah.
And then the next adventure began because now you got to come down.
In the dark.
In the dark.
And I remember that. I got to get down a little earlier than you.
Yeah.
I got down when it was still a little sunlight. I was doing like my last like quarter mile when the sun had gone down.
Did you rappel down, I guess?
No, at that point I was just at the very, very bottom of pitch 1 with the two clients, Jordan and Casey.
Yep.
And I remember there was a certain point in time where you radioed in and you're like, hey, you should probably head out with Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, or Jordan and Casey, but Casey wanted to stay because you were her.
I was her.
You were her beacon and light in the dark.
Oh yes.
So yeah, so it was. I got down a little earlier, but I just remember looking back and seeing those headlamps just switch back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, I feel for those guys. And it was all the climbers and then Casey. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, you get to turn around and see in the dark these little like blips of light kind of just switch back and off of this mountain, and you're like, and then you look back and you're like, I just came from there. and it's kind of a crazy, a crazy experience, but I loved it. I mean, I came off with some blisters and, some dehydration, but man, I would do it again tomorrow.
How would you say that was at this point for you, Adam? What was your perspective?
Yeah.
So we had an interesting perspective because we were just in sort of the desert floor, and we weren't up on the structure that day. So, and we had Dan and another client with us for most of the day. So we got back to the base camp much earlier than you guys did. I think it was still even daylight. And so for the rest of the night, we were just looking up and we could see you guys like headlamps in the distance. And it was an eerie feeling because like you said, there's no light pollution anywhere. So you just the starlight and then pitch black, nothing. But up in the sky, way above the horizon where you think you'd see anything, you just see these headlamps like flipping around, looking at each other and weaving down the switchbacks.
Yep.
And so we were kind of timing it like, okay, they've made this much progress. Like we were literally sitting there watching you guys from miles away, but still kind of knowing where you were and tracking your progress and trying to estimate what time you guys and the other half of the clients would get back. And so that was really cool. And we took that time to kind of review footage of the drone stuff. And at that point we knew like, if we got this amazing footage, I can't wait to see what you two got.
Yeah.
So it just made us more excited. It was a long 2 days, but I think on any shoot, when you're shooting for a long time, then you finally see the footage, it just makes it all really rewarding.
Yeah,
all the efforts and the planning, the physical exertion with this one. But yeah, that was kind of just that really chill moment of like all the adrenaline is done or is winding down for us. We're still waiting for you guys to get there, but it was a really cool experience.
I slept good that night.
Oh yeah.
I think we all did.
Yeah, it was. I think it was much like you said, Adam. It was a long 2 days, but it was definitely exciting. And I think since then it's funny because I've filmed a lot more climbing stuff since then, and we have as a team. But that was a really fun one, and I think it was. We had another half of the shoot that we did actually back in our studio in Oklahoma here, and then the whole thing edited together. We found a really good actor out of Dallas that did the other part of it, and it was really fun. It was really fulfilling.
People ask me why we do it. It's called being intentional, calculated. Climbing takes us to another level. It's what we do. We go places others don't. We dig deeper, climb higher to reach the goal. When people ask why I climb, it's easy. To get to the top.
Leaders are expected to know the answers, to protect and provide for the team. Is our company's future secure? Do we understand the risks? Are we prepared for them? Do we have the foundation that will allow our company to reach its full potential? The questions are endless. Without the right guide, the right tools, and the right partner, answers are difficult to come by.
Sometimes when we've been climbing forever and still can't see the summit, the doubt creeps in. Will we make it? Truth is, we have to make it. Even when we start to question, we know we've done the work. Climbs like this take research, calculation, and people you can trust.
Employers rely on us every day to be their team. We are Summit. We partner with organizations to protect what's most important, the promise of a secure future for the people who do the work and the investments that make the work possible. Our people help analyze, evaluate, support, and service every aspect of growing businesses, protecting assets, and most importantly, securing livelihoods, because there's no room for doubt.
Or second guessing. My success is our success. I have trust in the team that they can and will get me to the top. Not making it there, it's not an option.
We help our clients manage risk regardless of industry or organization size. Summit's innovative leaders stay on top of developments in the benefits, insurance, and investment landscapes.
Collaboration with the right partner is everything when it comes to the ascent. I cannot reach the top unless my partner is all in.
We will help you on the climb because we are committed to seeing you reach the summit. The only thing you have to do is take the first step.
one thing that I've always believed, and I'll continue to believe till I'm dead, but if you want to create something that hasn't been created before, you have to do things that no one else is willing to do. And many times I think a lot of people, I don't know that too many people think I'm crazy, but I do think there's some people that think I have my threshold is in the wrong place of what can and can't be done. And I'm fine with that. Like I do like to rock climb and mountaineer. And I think it just comes in my nature to feel like if there's a challenge, man, I'm stoked. I'm like, oh, it's really hard. Like most people don't want to do it. I raise my hand. I'm like, I'm in. I want to do it. And I think that was a prime example of something that very, very few people would raise their hand for and say, yes, let's go string 400-foot vertical lines up the Castleton Tower and drag red cameras and drones and all these things into this iconic feature and film it. But we did it.
Right.
We did it, and
we did it good.
It turned out beautiful.
It's no Jeep on top, but hey,
just a bunch of dudes from Oklahoma out there in the desert. Well, awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Retrospec from the archives. I hope you guys catch some of the next episodes as well, where we continue to dig into film projects, and we appreciate you spending some time with us. We'll see you.
Thanks.